Notebook excerpts. These are excerpts from my notebooks of things to do in the future. Prepare my portfolio to become the United Nations Artist in Residence. Make the video catalog of all American gestures and facial expressions and their meanings in context. For example, that kind of stuff. The project could be expanded to make a comparative catalog of all gestures from all cultures and their meanings in context. This behavior catalog would be to behavior what a dictionary is to words. The numbers of catalogs could be expanded to eventually become a library of all behavioral repertoires, and of course this might include subsets, for example, a whole section on all declarations of independence from all cultures. I have a plan to write a book with the word Earth on every page. This would be a catalog in which each page would have the equivalent word or symbol for our word in English for Earth, and it would include all the languages that are on Earth. It's to be added to upon meeting extraterrestrials, and each extraterrestrial would then add another page. Plan the planetary park system. We have national parks and state parks. This would be a global preservation of each kind of natural feature on Earth. There'd be a desert, a fjord, a coral reef, a city. Part of this would be a contemporary garden, which would be a garden that would survey the evolution of all floral types from the beginning to the future. The garden would start with a simple single entrance filled with fossils of flowers that no longer exist on Earth but were the first flowers. That would be followed by an evolutionary divergence down a number of paths to flowers that existed second and third, and finally these radiating paths would go through all existing floral types to the present, and then it would end with man-made hybrid types. Each floral type would exist in its own environment with its own soil types and pollinators. Insect pollinators evolve with floral types. Catalog of all sexual arousal displays, including male and female, from humans through all species. Video catalog of all social hierarchy dominance displays, pecking orders in all species. The Proteus Project. Proteus is the god who could assume any form, and this would be an encyclopedia of all possible forms available in the universe. It would include an encyclopedia of all processes. The index to this would be the legend to all reality maps. There's another project called the Prime Object Generator. A prime object is the first object that initializes a whole subsequent series of objects. For example, the first fork or the first wheel is a prime object. So a prime object generator would generate a sequence of prime objects that in themselves generate sequences. Design the geneticord. This would be a project done in combination with recombinant DNA scientists. This would be a playable, portable DNA keyboard instrument capable of playing the set of all organic sets I could sit down at the genetochord and play a rose, or play a turtle, or play a climax forest. Design a toolkit. This would be the information necessary to use the total environment as a single tool. It's possible to sit and look at the leaves blowing in the wind and know that there's been a shift in temperature and perhaps a storm is coming up. That's using an isolated incident. This would be the capacity to use the total environment as a single tool. Plan the global communication network, which would be the computerized total accumulated knowledge of all mankind, transmittable by satellite broadcast to any point on the surface of the Earth, and these points at any position on the Earth would be cigarette pack-sized pocket receivers that could have a television screen on them, a flat screen. You could dial in after asking a question while sitting in the jungles of Venezuela. You could dial in and get your answer at any resolution level, a detailed view or a very complex answer. All of the tools are available for this already. They just need to be depoliticized and integrated. Design the form for my change of national citizenship to planetary citizenship. Prepare a list of names for my legal name change every 5 years for the rest of my life. Design a social form for myself for the beginnings of first meetings and the end of last meetings. First and last meetings tend to be the most information-packed moments and perhaps could be formalized. Design a self-identifying symbolic gesture. The purpose of this could be to re-identify myself when I lose my identity by gesturing in the mirror. Prepare a self-portrait of myself in the future by interviewing a number of clairvoyants and mediums who would draw what my future self would look like or describe it verbally or mathematically. Act as a fair witness for one day. For example, I would speak only the experimentally demonstratable, as I would, let's say, spend the day in front of the mirror. I could only speak about what I actually saw. Write a series of manifestos for future movements, political movements, aesthetic movements. Write a series of synonyms for the word art, one synonym for each day for the rest of the life that I consider myself an artist. Design new money. This would be the design of a new unit of reciprocal altruism. Design gifts and ceremonies for birthday celebrations for the ages 13, 21, 35, 50, 65, and 80. For example, I could make a series of gifts for my children before my death so that on their birthdays for the rest of their lives they could open up presents. For example, on their 50th birthday they could open up bottles of homemade strawberry wine based on recipes from my father's wine cellar. Here's a money-making scheme: hard hat tours. Visit the 7 wonders of the contemporary industrial world. This is an actuarial project. I would have to, through research, determine the statistical probability of any event occurring, and then arrange for my performance of a series of events that would start with the most inevitable event, and then each event would be increasingly improbable, finally culminating with totally impossible events occurring. One of the aspects of this project might be to perform a series of totally involuntary events. Give away all my possessions. This could be performed in several ways. I could give them away one at a time. I could give them away in order of their value, as I presently value them. Give away in order of acquisition, so that the first giveaway would be the first object that I had ever received, and I would end with the last object that I had ever received. The easiest way, perhaps, is just to take everything that I own and put it out in front of my house and let it be taken away. Perform a meaning-free act. This would mean that I would be capable of performing an act that would bear no reference to any culture or any meaning frame. This has implications as a military weapon. I could design a meaning generator so that I could dial in with my contrast knob either increased meaning or decreased meaning, so that things could be enormously meaningful or meaningless. Suspend all state laws for one day to achieve a state of nature. I would work with the legislature to exchange social man-made laws for natural laws. Part of this project would perhaps be to work with the legislature to declare that portion of the United States which exists within the boundaries of my skin to be a wildlife preserve. There's another aspect of that project which would be to declare a portion of a national park an area that could never be used for art. Design a curriculum of universal self-care. Working with a medical school, I would design medical education for everyone according to his ability, starting in kindergarten and going on to whatever age. Write a book in which each page has only one sentence, and each sentence is from another language on earth, and each sentence is the most efficient language in that sentence. The English sentence would be 26 letters long, using all 26 letters of the alphabet with no repeats. Design a telepathically accessible library of all the available knowledge. Plan an open global TV channel capable of accessing all present programming from all cultures. Prepare the entrance exam for membership on the first starship. This implies that there perhaps might be a school to train interstellar explorers, and on the entrance exam there would be questions such as, and they would be limited in time. For example, in 5 minutes determine what will be the last human invention. In 20 minutes, design a new American flag, a new national anthem, design a symbol for the world. In this school there would be speed reading courses, speed feeling courses, speed thinking. Tour the human body's forms as maps of our past evolutionary environments. Each one of the forms in the human body has been determined by a past environment. Perhaps the most recent forms are those that might be used for self-design when we replace evolution with art. Man's function in the universe. I would determine what my function is in a cosmological context, and then I would objectify it. I would make it a tangible object. My answer to the question, who was the most important individual of our species? Prepare an artwork for the end of our civilization. Prepare an artwork for the end of our species, for the end of our solar system, for the end of evolution itself, when everything has reached its optimum form. Plan an artwork for the time after science has completed its goals. This assumes that science has goals, for example, to know all causes and effects, to know all principles, all invariants, and this work would be for the time after that. Plan my last work, which relates to making a gift for my mother and father for their deaths, their last days. Design the ceremony for the formal contact with the first extraterrestrial civilizations. Prepare cryogenic self-suspension, hopefully at absolute zero, which would mean no atomic motion at all.